Hey, yo, what is up, everybody? What's going on? It's your girl, Jay. And it is time for another edition of the JChats series. This is an opportunity where I invite a guest on. I open my platform and we talk about whatever they want to talk about, their journey, anything they're promoting, their businesses, their music, their art, anything that they would like to promote. I open up my platform and allow them to speak. And hopefully, my listeners will learn a little bit more about them and support them because that's why I have this here. So, by the way, I've done this already. I didn't hit record. I'm going to be transparent. So, we're redoing this again. The person I have with me that you see, this is my friend, but she is an artist, a podcaster, a radio host, founder of several organizations, a motivational speaker, a moderator. And I say motivational speaker because I feel like she is. Anytime I hear her speak, it's like we're just in awe of what she's saying. And she gets emotional sometimes, and that's what really gets you, but keep moving on. A content creator and a media personality. Okay, for the second time, let's welcome my friend LaGina Rae back to the platform. What's up?
Oh, hey! I thought we were doing the cute.
Here we go.
Daybug, what's up, girl? It's so good to be back on. I love my friendships. I'll just stop there.
Yes. So although you told our audience already in secret, let my people know that now that I'm recording, how you're doing. How's everything going?
I'm doing good. I had a massage. Manifestation is real. I was like, oh, I want a massage therapist that's gonna get in there. And the massage therapist I had got in there and I heard stuff crunch and pop and all the things, and it was needed. So I'm sore and I've been drinking water all day, but I feel great.
Those hurt. I had was it a sports medicine, whatever they call a sports massage, some kind of thing like that, a deep tissue massage. Is
Deep
that what
tissue.
you had?
Yeah, but I was in Asian town, so you just go in there
Oh,
and
it's
they're
more
gonna feel your
intense.
body. No, I mean they feel what's in your body and they just give they switch because I had a woman the first time. This time I had a man, so I guess they just were like, mm-mm.
She
she
needs
needs
more power.
she
Let's
needs
get in
more
there.
power.
Okay. I've
I
had
like,
those and I don't particularly like them. I mean, you do feel good afterwards,
yeah,
but when I had it, and this was when I used to work out constantly, so my trainer is the one was like, you need to go get this
massage.
deep tissue
Yeah,
massage. And oh my gosh, like I have a lot of tension up here a lot. So when they were digging in there, oh, I felt like they were like gonna break my shoulders off. But like right after that, when it was over, I felt good. So
you're like, I don't hear a crunch pop. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
So we before we get into everything that's going on with you, we are going to play a game. So I'm going to ask you this a lightning round game. So I'm going to ask you as many questions as I can or many as you can answer within 30 seconds.
Okay.
So let me get to that screen. Now remember the first thing comes to mind, just answer it and we'll go on. So I'm going to
Okay.
start in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Favorite junk food?
Cookies.
Favorite season?
Summer.
Favorite childhood TV show?
Allegra's window.
Oh, favorite ice cream?
Oh, cookies. No, it's like this high time one from Ben and Jerry's, and the newest one I found is Oreos.
Do you believe in fate?
Somewhat.
Favorite number?
2012. 12.
Why can't we tickle ourselves?
I do.
And that's it. That's it. You do?
Tickle yourself.
They say you can't tickle yourself.
Yeah, you can tickle. This is tickling my. Yeah, yeah. You
Do
can
you,
tickle
you can
yourself.
tickle yourself and laugh?
Yeah, man.
They say that it's not you can't tickle yourself and I mean you can't tickle yourself because um laughing or whatever while tickling someone else is tickling you is like your body's defense mechanism. And because you're doing it to yourself, your body's not threatened by that. So
Shit.
that's why.
My body's threatened by everything. I'm a Black woman in America. I'm a
Well,
millennial. I'm single. Like, where are we at right here?
well,
I'm
you
like,
know, there's that. There's that. Okay. So now that we get, now I've learned something else about you. I didn't know that people can tickle themselves, but now that I know that LaGina can tickle herself.
and you know, when you hit your funny bone, it like tickles so bad that it hurts. That's
That's
tickle.
true.
So,
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's
yeah.
true.
Or they're just wrong. I may not be right,
Well,
but
I know I'm really, really ticklish on the bottom of my feet. So if I'm going to get a pedicure, I'm like, I'm not one of those people that's freaking out, but I'm very like, oh my God, okay, calm down with the, rubbing on my feet or whatever. But if I do it, I don't feel anything. So that's what I was thinking more so
oh
like,
no,
I don't know.
it tickles to me, but like it's also like is when you are tickled, does tickle equal you have to laugh, right? Or is it like the response that you're saying you don't get? Because I don't laugh when I tickle myself, but it still tickles.
Hmm. I don't know. I'll have to look that. I don't remember where I saw or heard that at, but that's something to think about.
Way too
A
deep.
response. And last time you were here, we were talking deep too. I forgot everything we were talking about, but when said earlier when we weren't recording that you were on the show before, back in, I need to look it up, 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And this was like well, was it around June? Let me look it up. But this was like the pandemic when we went on high alert was in March 2020. And I think you were on the show either June or July. So that was like mid beginning of the pandemic because we still didn't know what was going to happen. We were
Right.
talking about people wearing masks because we were like, how long do you think people are really going to wear
Oh
masks?
wow. Y'all need
And
to go back and watch that episode.
yeah, yeah. I meant to listen to it before you came on, but I just ran out of time. I wasn't able to do that. But
Life is life.
um yeah, it was crazy to listen to that. So it's been that long as I'm trying to go through and find it. But I'll look for it while we're talking about other stuff. But
Okay.
so let's get into what you have going on. One thing you did mention that I'm going to start with. One thing you did mention on my show is that you were starting up the Us space. And I don't know if it was an idea, but I do know you were telling us about this was something you wanted to start. And if I'm not mistaken, you started it pretty soon after the show, if not like the next year. I don't know when you started it. You'll let us know, but tell us what the Us space is and why you decided to create that.
Yeah, so the very meticulous and figured out mission is intentional innovation spaces for women of color, women centric organizations, and women led teams to build, grow, and thrive with the avenues of being like seen, found, heard, and understood. All of that is like super obvious. It's like, oh, you're a woman of color, all this, but it really came down to making money make sense, making dollars make sense, doing research, looking at the fact that like women of color, Hispanic and Black women in particular, open businesses at the largest rate in the country, sustain their businesses at the largest rate in the country, and don't necessarily have many third flex spaces or centralized resources that are built for them intentionally and with them versus, let me not say for, so intentionally with the people that they're for, I guess you could say, versus I talk about in when I do pitches, I say no more making programs, rules, and initiatives about us without us. So it's the paradigm shift, right? It's instead of being like, here's a program for you, Black woman, or here is an initiative that we have for you, nonprofit led by women. It's more like, let's create this collaborative, this collaboration of where things can happen, where we've studied temperatures of what women like, looked at colors for women of color. Women of color respond to different colors than our counterparts, and all of these things to create that intentionality. It's a lot more than it was the first time we talked. So yeah, when we talked, I believe it was in June, and
It was July 10th.
July 10th, right after my
July 10th.
birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So right after that, I got into I got accepted into Accelerator. I turned it down. It wasn't right for me. And it was a really big decision because it also was a precursor to what would happen with the us space. Like certain partnerships, certain things wouldn't be what works for the members that need it, and you can't just say yes to everything in business. But I did start virtual accountability days called Get Shit Done in October of 2020, and then we got our first physical space contract in June of 2021.
Wow. Wow. I remember seeing it. I think I saw it on social media, but I'm always so like enamored by the people that I know that are in business, no matter what it is that you're doing. Like when you say you're going to do something and then a year goes by or maybe 6 months and I see it actually happen. And I'm like so happy because I'm like, when they were talking to me, it was just like, this is an idea that I have and this is what I want to do. To me, I look at you like my I call him my brother, but we went to college together. His name is Mont. But the whole time we were in college, he used to always tell me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And
Mhm.
look at him now. He's had a barber shop, he's had a beauty salon, he has a gym, he has his own personal um physical therapy. Like he does all this stuff. Now he's about to open in a restaurant. Like he's always doing something. And I'm just so like when you take an idea and can follow through with it, even though
Mhm.
he talks about he's like, I fail a lot. But
Yeah.
the fact is, like I keep trying and I keep, doing different things. And this is the result of that. So I'm so like enamored and proud of you
Thank
and
you.
all my friends that's like that because I feel like that it takes a lot to keep pushing through, even though some things you may have thought was going to work out didn't work out. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one thing that I know you talked to me about to see it happening is a dope thing.
Yeah, there's a lot going on this summer with it. Um, my favorite phrase that people give me is "You're so busy," right? And it's like
Mhm.
I always think about whatever people perceive as busy. I think busy is a good thing, especially when it's focused and it's aligned with my life purpose. And what would I be doing if I wasn't busy? Because when I'm not doing anything, I'm literally laying on a couch and I watch TV. And that is how I rest to get back into contributing to society, if you will. So yeah.
Okay. So moving on from that, I think, and I don't know if I'm going in order, but the next thing I heard about was melanin mines.
Hmm.
Tell us
Hmm.
about that. And did you have something? I don't know if this is separate or not, but in the very beginning, did you and the co founder have something to do with like a Rihanna, Fenty? I don't know. Tell me about it. Tell us what it is and tell me all about that.
Yeah, shout out to Ree. Can't wait for your team to reach out to us so that we can have a collaboration. Um, so Melanin Minds came about because it was actually from it. Well, actually, it was actually from Rae Infinity. Let's Talk Live. I had a guest on there that ended up being. It was like her first time on live. Ended up following her. I'm on Instagram. I see she's on live, and I know she's nervous because she was nervous on mine. And so I get on and I start, she says something, I'm like finding it, I'm atting her thing, I'm dropping her, whatever. But the person that was interviewing her is the Womi app, Shop Womi on Instagram. And I think I DM'd Mel. We could go back and look at receipts. We always say we slid into each other's DMs and we instantly started supporting each other. I put the podcast, Rae Infinity, Let's Talk on the Womi app. And I told her about the us space. She came to work accountability day. We helped her with some stuff. She got a grant, I believe, for the Womi app because of it. Then fast forward, she was on season 3 of my podcast. We really connected over her honesty, and over like our nutrition or lack thereof, or our just relationship with food. Then she did a conference. I kind of helped her on the back end, just like with some ideas, or I was her sounding board maybe. Like, she told me some things. She had it all in her head. She did a whole conference. I participated in it. And in passing, I was like, don't worry, we're going to do another one. And simultaneously, I'm developing stuff for the us space. And one of the pillars is programming. And for the us space, I acknowledge the fact that women of color, women centric organizations, we're underinvested and under resourced. And need some support sometimes, whether it's monetarily, physical space, people. And I was like, ooh, this should be our first member powered program. So at the time, Mel was a member of the us space. We came together. We did Melanin Minds. There's a long story with Melanin Minds and how it came about, but it stuck around. We had the first year conference at the us space. Mel flew in. We met in person for the first time, like 18 hours before the conference. Like literally, I'm driving to the airport and I'm like, this is her. That's her. Mel, I'm like, so we met. And then after the conference, we were like, that was a lot. Bye. And Mel she texted me one day. She's like, hey, is it cool? I think we should apply for this. It's due really soon, so there's not a lot of time. And I'm like, sure, whatever. Don't even think nothing of it. Mel fills out a couple questions, blah, blah, blah. Then we get an email, hey, there's something, you've been accepted, sign this NDA, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, we're in. I'm flying out to Atlanta. They sent us our outfits. They sent them to the wrong city. So I had Mel's in Houston and she had mine in LA. So I took mine from Houston to LA. We did a photo shoot and became Savage X Fenty duo game changers for 2021.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I didn't know that y'all had just met like right before the conference.
Yeah, literally like right before, in person. Everything was virtual online.
And then you just had a conference. Like, what did it end today or was it yesterday?
So it ended. So we had our third annual Melanin Minds Mental Health Conference. It started on Thursday with a VIP badge pickup, community meetup with some community organizations, and a mini fundraiser at Axelrad in the 3rd Ward here in Houston. And then we moved over to Big Brothers Big Sisters in downtown Houston for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It ended. And then Monday, me, Mel, and Muriel, our advisory board member, did all the returning of the U-Haul and the unloading, the nightmare. Today's like my first day kind of back in the world.
Right. After a long weekend and days of doing
Planning.
that.
Yeah.
Right. So we were talking about the last time she was on my show. So I was also on her show. I did the LRI Let's Talk live, but I was also on the actual podcast. Yep. So tell us, before we get into that, I wanted to mention, as we're going into that, she sent me an email. Me and her birthdays are around the same time. I'm July. I'm June 28th. You're July 1st?
Yep.
Right. And it was my birthday weekend. I got an email and it was from her. She was like, I'm having this, to everyone that's been on LRI Let's Talk. I'm doing a launch party, blah, blah, blah. Come through if you can, please let me know if you're going to be there. So I sent a thing saying I'm going to be there. And I decide to ask her best friend, who is also my best friend's husband, if he wanted to come with me, because I was off, he was off. I was still on vacation for my birthday. So he was like, yeah, let's go. So I put his name down. He registered. We're going to go. For some reason, I guess she didn't think we were coming, or she said she might have saw our names, but we went to her event and it was, again, floored. Like the building that we were in, the way everything was set up. She had like a listening room, refreshments, food. It was an outdoor patio, kind of like rooftop situation going on, games. It was in like a mock setup of her studio, her recording studio for a podcast. And she had several people that had been on her podcast before. A lot of people from her fourth season,
Yeah.
and I'll let you talk about that. But it was such a dope event to go to. And again, I was just blown. I'm like, I was telling Miguel, I was like, one day I'm going to build my podcast up to, be able to have an event like this, because this is dope. Like all these different walks of life. And we were networking. I ended up
Yeah.
talking to, is his name Daryl or Darrell?
Daryl.
Daryl. We were
My
talking. He's
producer.
been giving me kind of pointers on like my audio and video. Just we were just all networking, just talking, which is what you set it up for, really, and to celebrate you and your fourth season. So tell us about LRI. Let's talk, especially this last season, this fourth season. Why
Mhm.
did you decide to get into podcasting, and why are you deciding to move forward into a different realm?
Yeah, I decided to get into podcasting because it was before the podcast movement of everybody being into podcasts. I was a 2018, which is still younger in the game than the OGs of podcasting, but I was listening to NPR a lot.
Mhm.
I was at a job I didn't particularly love, and NPR, I would listen to it during the day at work. It was my escape. It became my solace because my dad had passed, and I just listened to it. And I was like, oh, I could do a podcast. I could do this. Started researching it, went into my really nerdy side of my body, in my brain, and went into research mode. And I asked a lot of my close friends and family that had typically been like told me something in secret or in confidence, and went to them and was like, hey friend, hey sister, hey cousin, I know that this is your life and it's private and everything else, but what if we record this and it helps somebody else? That was pretty much the premise. So I recorded season 1, starting in the closet of my downtown apartment in Austin. And actually, the first episode was in the conference room downstairs in the apartment. And then one of my friends, Dalia Jones, who's in broadcasting, was like, girl, you need to be in your closet, better audio. And my closet was big enough, so
Mhm.
so I sat in there and we recorded, and I finished the recording once I had moved here to Houston. I recorded like Asia's episode, I think Kendra's, and I think my sister Zenobia. I did all their episodes here in Houston because they're all in Houston, um, and that's how I started the season 4. The reason why I decided to end with the 4th season is because the stories of the women on all 4 of the seasons of the podcast, they're timeless, they're evergreen. they the experience doesn't change, right? It's already happened. And I know that there's more opportunities to amplify whatever was told in each of those individual stories. Like I can't even, like, even when I go back to listen to them for the relaunch and everything, I was like, oh my
Mhm.
God, that was said. Oh my God, that did happen. And each one is its own like highs and lows and a story like
Mhm.
popcorn. And so I wanted to do season 4 a little different. I had the opportunity to partner with the Esperson building in downtown Houston. It's a historical buildings. It has amazing history, built by a woman, you know. Um, and I have a podcast studio there still because I have a couple more episodes to finish shooting.
Mhm.
And I wanted to do video audio, which is out of traditional podcasting, but very much of the times. And yeah, that's where I'm at. So season 2 was the Ladies of Houston. Season 3 was the Ladies Behind the Mic. And this season 4 that's coming up is called The Dynamics of Women. And I'm really excited for it to drop at the end of August. So
Me and my listeners will be patiently waiting for that to drop, because we are going to support her, right,
I love it.
listeners?
I love
Yes?
it.
Okay.
Right? Yes, yes, of course.
Now, another venture you took, which I had the pleasure of being in the studio, you took us to the studio. Now, I made a mistake. I told y'all on one of my episodes that I had pushed some button when I was told to turn things off. I thought she meant the lights. I thought she meant the music. And she came in like, "What are you doing? We're live." I was like, "I
Ready for our
don't know."
radio.
But as I said, she's a radio host. She has the Stomping Ground with LaGina Rae. Tell us how you got into that. How long have you been doing that? And how do you, I guess it's similar to podcasting, but how is it different? How is it a different avenue for you?
For me, it's really different. Now, the radio station I'm a part of, a lot of the broadcasters on there call themselves podcasters because they take their content and then turn it into podcasts. I really like the distinction of having a radio show. And, maybe that comes from my dad owning a radio station when I was a child. Maybe that comes from my sister being a mass comm major, and being like a radio producer when she was an undergrad. I like having a radio show. So I came about it during COVID. I went to, I think, HCCAC. It's like the Houston something something artist coalition. And they were having meetups. I did a meetup. They did breakout rooms. I met a lady named Kanesha, and Kanesha is on season 2 of my podcast, actually. And I was like, yeah, I'm looking for a way to repurpose my podcast. I want more people to hear it. And at the same time, she was the GM, or I think she still is the GM of an art gallery. And they were working with this production that they wanted to take from physical to virtual so they could still have it during COVID. And I was like, I'm glad to help. I'm really good at doing that kind of stuff. And so we'd have planning meetings. I did that. And in return, she introduced me to one of the founders of the radio station. Not in return. She heard me say I wanted to do more with my podcast. She introduced me to one of the founders of the radio station. Next thing you know, I'm in an interview with both the owners, and I'm on the radio, and I'm repurposing my podcast. So I'm playing Let's Talk, and I'm playing Let's Talk to Men About It. And it's a 2-hour block. So I'm packaging them and playing one then the other. And about 6 months in, everybody's like, it's really good, really like it, but we can listen to your podcast on the multiple streaming platforms. We want to hear from you. And there's this duality of really sitting comfortably in who you are and knowing your power. And then also the duality of knowing that there's always going to be doubters, naysayers, haters, people like that. And the two fuck with you in two different ways, right? So when I got on the radio show, I was like, what is a way to make a really cool space where I can just be myself and my friends can come on and people I know. So I don't remember how Stomping Ground came into my head, but I always think of Stomping Grounds, the homies, the safe spaces. And because the show's me in my conversation, I was like, I'm going to say with LaGina Rae, because I looked up other things and other people that are syndicated and famous people, and their names are a part of their brand. I mean, look at Oprah, right? And nobody says
Steve
she's
Harvey.
competed, right? Or nothing like that. And so even while I've been going through the learning of being on the radio, I feel like the difference is that the radio is in real time. Let's Talk Live, I feel like prepared me for that too. The formatting's different. It's 2 hours. It's very organic. It's listened to worldwide in real time. And I feel like that for the most times when I'm recording for the radio show, it's evergreen material mixed in with time. So we do in the headlines, and we talk about pop culture, and we talk about things that are going in the here and now. And of course, I do guilty pleasures, and all of mine are wrapped around TV shows, versus my podcast, somebody's telling their story. And so the timing is stuff that's already happened. And we don't talk a lot about what is happening versus what happened in somebody's story. So those are the two different things. And on the radio show, I have a different guest every week. It gets promoted differently. On my radio show, there's not a space right now where you can go back and listen to a full episode, because that's part of radio, old school radio.
You had to get your tape recorder and tape it.
Or you had to wait for a replay. I'm about to relaunch LaRae Infinity, my website, and we're going to do highlights and segments. Like my 3 favorite segments are going to be what you can listen to for the radio show that you can, so that you can tune in on Thursday nights and kind of know what's going on, is one of the stompers. But that's the
Mm.
difference for me. And that's kind of how I got into it is, I don't say happenstance, but I always tell people, and I said it when I was crying on the balcony during the season 4 launch.
As the
I said,
sun is setting in the backdrop and it's
it was
beautiful and all the
it was
skyline.
so like scene, right? I was like, damn it. And sometimes when that happens, I'm like, damn it, LaGina. But like I said, take up your space, ask for what you need, say no less often, all those things. I really believe in them. And I do my best to do those things.
Okay. And now I want to move into all this kind of coincides with each other, but a lot of I've been looking at your YouTube. I've seen you do a lot of like I don't know what they call it, like on the red carpet interviews and
Mhm.
different interviews at different events. I don't know if that's in your media what do you call it? Media business,
Personality. Yeah.
LRI audio.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the
LRI.
name of it. Media production something. The word is escaping me, but how did you get into that? Um, I know interviewing people kind of comes naturally as you're
Yeah.
doing that for your podcast, but now you're on red carpets or you're at these events and you're, grabbing all these important people. Like,
Mhm.
how did you kind of transition into doing that?
Yeah. LaRae Infinity Audio Production. Uh, I
Production, that's the word I was looking for.
Production. Production. And we stuck to audio because obviously there's a video component. But I think the root of that kind of stuff when you're capturing an interview is the voice, the audio, right? The tone, the tonality, the cleanliness of it or not, depending on where you're at and what the style is. And the stylization of that is the root of building all that stuff. And how I fell into it. I would say that I'm blessed to have the ability to be curious enough and be analytical enough and to listen to people's words enough to be a great interviewer. Now, it also makes me a really challenging person to communicate with because I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not what you said. And sometimes I come across as an asshole, but in my right and in not even my defense, but in my reality, no, I'm being serious. Like you've got to be specific. Um, and so, but it transpires and formulates into me being a really good interviewer. But like they say, if you have a craft and you don't use it and you don't respect it, you lose it over time. And this is one I swear I used to be able to sing. I swear I used to be able to sing, but I was so nervous and I cared so much about what other people think. I think I lost the ability, right? Because every now and then somebody be like, I hear you. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I know it's not there. But so with interviewing, I've made damn certain that I study it. I go look at myself. That's why it took me a whole year to produce my first season of the podcast because I I was nervous to listen to what I had to say or what I was saying in my voice because I was super analytical of it. And, some people are like, oh, you shouldn't be hard on yourself. I'm not hard on myself, but I know what I can do and I know the ability. So I do study my craft, whether it's natural or not. And that's where I got. What was the other part of the question? It was a loaded question.
Oh, sorry. I was just asking how you got into it and then
The red
just,
carpets.
yeah.
Yeah. So I put an advertisement up on a platform for an intern for audio. And this intern ended up doing video stuff. And this intern is Daryl. And I was on Instagram and I DM'd something because I was like, oh, this is interesting. It was like an award show or something. I think I really wanted a free ticket and I got a free ticket. But they were like, here's a media ticket. And I was like, a media? I'm not media. He's like, you're media. Come. And then he's like, you can do the red carpet. And so I reached out to Daryl. I was like, hey, do you want to do red carpet? And he's like, yeah, sure. I don't know what that means, LaGina, but let's do it. So I called my homegirl, Crystal, because I knew that we needed help that day and day of like production management and boom, red carpet. And then I had mentioned it to another friend. Her name is well, Shanice and Connie. I mentioned it to them. And I guess Shanice couldn't make an event she was invited to do a red carpet for and put my name in the hat. And next thing you know, me and my all Black media team is at the Four Seasons doing a red carpet, interviewing people from like The Voice and all that stuff. And they liked us so much, they requested that we came out to Galveston. So then we're getting paid to go to Galveston and travel and do red carpets. And then, I'm living very much in the light of making sure that the things that I do, I say that I do and I don't hide and I don't cower from it. And because it's not bragging, if I'm good at it and you can use me, why wouldn't I ever tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can pay me, hey, that's even better. If not, let's see how we can leverage and work together on something, collaborate, partner. But then got into media days for Houston Exponential Tech Rodeo, did a media day for WBEA, which is Women's Business Enterprise out here in Houston, and did award shows for nonprofits, all these things. And it all comes from getting people that you can work with and you're aligned with and figuring it out.
Now you do a lot of different things with, and also you're an artist.
I am.
And you still, that's one of your pieces. That's one of her pieces back there.
Yeah.
You still currently doing art?
So the universe is wild. I don't. There's an empty canvas sitting right there. And there is a canvas that I was working on right before my sister passed that I can see as well. When my dad passed, I did art that whole year. Had the art show. I think you were at the launch that I did. The one it
Was it downtown by the
Yes.
Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
Okay, I
Whole
was there.
Planet Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Mm-hmm.
the launch of my brand. That's actually my first business. That is my brand. And it's LaRae Infinity, my name. LaGina Rae, take out the GINA, that's LaRae. And I did art, and then I didn't do art. I didn't do art, and I didn't do art because I just didn't feel inspired. And then right before my sister passed, it was 2021 toward the end of the year, I started painting again. And I was just really looking for like inspiration and voice because it hasn't been there. And then she passed, and I haven't been doing it. And over the last literally 36 hours, two people, and now three, you have said something about my art, have said I need to be doing it. And somebody found me a venue to do an art show. So TBD, we'll see about it.
Well, when you're ready to pick up the paintbrush, it'll come to you
It'll
and you'll
come.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal that I unwrapped the canvas. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So out of all the things that you've done, what do you like most? Which avenue is it that you like most?
I like only one thing, and it's amplifying other people. It be making me gassed up and charged up. I don't like being abused and doing that. I don't understand when people do that, except for like as you move through life, you understand that people hurt and they don't understand giving and all of these things. But just like the mission of my brand, because it's a big reflection of me, it's to amplify and uplift women in the communities that they work in, which again folds out to everybody. Women work with everybody, most do, especially women of color, especially women that run groups and organizations, women that have been through shit, they help everybody. So anything that I can do to help people in the light that's not skullduggery and people that aren't like lackadaisical and stuff, I'm down. I am an executor, so I do stuff. I am direct. Some people say I'm not soft. I'm super soft. Like, if you really know me, you've seen me cry and all these things. But even those, like, people are like, I'm sorry when you're crying. Don't say sorry, right? Because it's something that needs to happen in the moment. But I think for me, my favorite thing is being able to amplify other people, like my podcast.
Mhm.
My favorite thing about the podcast is that women get to tell their stories and have somebody sit there with them and support whatever that part of the story is they want to tell. Let's talk to men about it. My favorite thing is men getting a space to talk about women without being chastised in a certain way. With the us space, my favorite thing is seeing all these women of color like just be able to be themselves because the space is created for them. With Melanin Minds, my favorite thing is that generational, like just understanding the movement of what Melanin Minds is doing within the realm of giving people space and ability. So for me, everything, even when I'm interviewing people, I get to help you tell your story in the cleanest, crispest way, not let you fall, and highlight the things that are going to make you look the best. And I can do that in prompt, and that's a talent that I like using for other things. So yeah,
Yeah, I can attest to that because when I did not want to go live with her, I didn't used to go live at all. Now I go live not super often, but more often than I used to. But I didn't want to go live, and then when I did go live with her on IG, my internet was acting up. But I was like, can I get a shot? And she was, yeah, if you want to take a shot, both of us, we'll both take a shot. Like, let's
good
get
night.
comfortable, let's do it.
Yeah,
So you are really good at, making your guests feel comfortable and things like that. So they're able to, speak with, tell their story and stuff like that. You kind of touched on this already in between of talking about all the things you've been involved in, but what would you say amplifying voices motivates you, or what motivates you to do all these different things? It's been since I spoke to you the first time about the us space, it's been 3 years, and look what all this stuff you've accomplished
yeah,
in 3 short years. Like, what
yeah.
drives and motivates you to, do this?
My family, my ancestors, like how dare I not do it? You know, like you met me in Austin, and I'm
Yep.
pretty just accurately me, right? Like I'm not an ally to anybody. I'm aligned with my friends. I'm aligned with my community.
Mhm.
I'm aligned with human. I'm aligned with good. And good doesn't have to be a square ass definition. Good can be, you could be a rude girl and be good, right?
Mhm.
So for me, it's my ancestors and my family and the understanding of the excellence that was there, the excellence that is here, and the excellence that is coming behind me. It makes it really easy. I have the support of my family, so my family, my ancestors.
Okay. And final question before we get out of here. How can myself and my listeners support you?
Uh, what is it? There's a podcast I listen to called Sisters Who Kill. Do you watch that one? Or do
I
you listen to
don't.
that one?
I've
It's
heard about it, but I've never.
it's so good. Talk to me, I talk back. That's what they say. People sometimes I'm hesitant to post because people decide you're busy, they decide you're doing good, they
Mhm.
think you don't need help. Um, Buy my shit, come to my art shows, uh, listen to my podcast, share my podcast, reach out to my guests, go to the mental health nonprofit website that I've created with my co-founder and use the resources. Again, everything, it's cool for me if I am the center of everything, if everything's amplified by me. So
Mm,
fuck with me because there's a lot that's being done in the nucleus of who I am. I'm grateful for it, but it's not for me. It's for everybody. And yeah, follow me, reach
uh,
out, offer to collaborate, do things, all that stuff. That's what can be done.
okay. And where can people find you?
I think the quickest way to find me is at LRI. No, Larae Infinity, because Larae Infinity has all the places that I'm doing things. So it's LaraeInfinity.com.
Mhm.
or LaRaeInfinity@gmail.com, or LaRaeInfinity on Instagram, and it's LaRaeInfinity.
Okay, y'all. Y'all have the information. Y'all, it will be links in the show notes. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's just below you. If you're listening to this, click on whatever you're listening to, and the show notes are there. So as always, I encourage all my listeners and all my watchers to go support. Wait, where's it at? This
Is it
person
gonna be? Oh, yep.
right here, LaGina Rae. She's doing big things. I cannot wait for the next 6 months to a year. I'll have you back on because you'll be doing something else and you'll have other things growing. So again, I've enjoyed watching you, grow from when I first met you, us just hanging out, partying, to
Party.
now you're like this mogul. So, and it hasn't been that long. It hasn't been that long, maybe 5, 6 years. And, so much stuff has happened in that time. So
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. Thank you for telling us about your ventures and what you have going on. And I want my people to support. And if you don't have anything else to say, I don't have anything, right?
I well,
We'll,
I
oh,
I
go
want
ahead.
to
Go ahead.
say I want to say thank you to you.
Oh,
One,
welcome.
for showing up, period, in my life. I love it. For being my best friend's husband's best
Best friend.
friend.
We're
And
best friends in law.
yeah, and even Road Dog and all those
Yeah.
things. But your community and the way I've watched your podcast and your podcast friend group grow is super good and super inspiring. And so thank you for allowing me to be on your platform again.
Hey, no worries. You always have a place here. So whenever
Yes,
you want to come back, whether we do a regular episode or we just chat like this, I have my platform here for you. So
I'm down.
go support her, and we are out. Peace out, y'all.